My brothers and sisters, you are now watching the Gamer2323, so just forget about the chores you're supposed to do. Put your feet up, get your Kool-Aid, fried chicken, popcorn, get whatever you may need! And I hope you enjoy the video. Dang, bro. We really about to be in year 2020. We a decade into the... No, 2 decades into the 2000s. I still remember year 2010, summer in year 2010. That boy LeBron James went on national TV and said, Cleveland, you suckers is ass. I'm taking my times to South Beach. That literally was, that was summer 2010. Damn. Is time going faster? Top 10 games that shaped this decade of gaming. More importantly than that, my top 10 games that shaped this decade of gaming. We 10 years after 2010, bro. We about to be in 2020, and there's been a lot of games that came out since then. A lot of good games, a lot of trash games, a lot of okay games, you know? But if I was to ask you, my brother, you, my sister that's watching this video right now, what's your top 10 games that came out this past decade? What games do you remember the most from this past decade? Would you have the answer? Would you even know where to begin? This does not mean these are my favorite games this past decade. I'm going to say some games that I don't even like, but I'm trying to be fair just as far as like the influence that they had this past decade. Some games that I don't say would easily, I would put those games over these games. They just came out, you know, last year or like a year before that. I'm trying to choose games that, you know, came out somewhere in like the middle of this decade or like right at, you know, the beginning of the 2010s, stuff like that. So my top 10 games that shaped this past decade of gaming. Let it roll. Okay, let's kick it off with GTA 5, Grand Theft Auto 5. This game here, man, came out in what year? 2013 it was, I do believe so. And yeah, since then, this game has made, I don't know. I just know it's, I know this game has made a whole bunch of money. I lost count after I heard it hit over like $1 billion in sales. I don't know how much this game has made. I just know that Rockstar is still eating off of a game that dropped in 2013. I feel like this game is definitely one of the games that shaped this past decade of gaming. If you really think about it, Grand Theft Auto 5, it ended off, like it kind of ended the era of last generation, because Grand Theft Auto 5 came out like what, a month or two right before PS4 and Xbox One came out. So it kind of ended off the generation of PS3 and 360. And then going into next generation, it managed to make even more money with the remasters that came out, and then the PC version came out. People are still playing this junk online today. I hear the freaking online is alive and well. Like a lot of people are still playing that. Is still playing that today. Grand Theft Auto 5 literally ended off an era, going into a new era, and made even more money. Like, that is insane. So Grand Theft Auto 5, the game was also amazing. It's not my personal favorite Grand Theft Auto out of the series. I still have to say it's San Andreas. But in terms of popularity, in terms of sales, in terms of longevity, I don't see how you could argue Grand Theft Auto 5 deserves to be on this list. I think that's a good choice to start off this list with. That's why I'm putting it there, GTA 5. Let's move on to, let's see, another game that shaped this past decade of gaming. Let's move on to, Let's move on to Dark Souls, man. Dark Souls. I think this game came out in 2011. I know. I think Demon Souls came out in 2009, but I kind of look at that as like the beta test phase for like the Souls games. But then Dark Souls came out. The very first game that was titled Dark Souls came out in 2011, I believe. And since then, how many Souls games have we had since then? I lost count. I really don't know. I just know there's been a ton of Souls games afterwards, pretty much creating its own genre. Like I think most people look at Souls games as like its own genre of games to play. My very first introduction to like playing a Souls type game was Bloodborne. People love the Souls games. They love that challenge that come with it. There's been so many Souls games that have followed afterwards that have been successful. I feel like the Souls games are still going on strong today. People love playing those games. So definitely, man, I have to put Dark Souls on this list, but I'm putting Dark Souls, but next to it like just like the Souls games, just the Souls series, whatever. Outlast. Let me be specific. Let me be specific here. The very first Outlast and the Whistleblower DLC. Outlast 2. Let's just move it to the side. Let's move Outlast 2 to the side. I'm not talking about Outlast 2. Again, another game that I feel like had a lot of influence this past decade. Like, how many games have we seen kind of, use that Outlast style of play to where you really have two options? Run or hide, and then the whole junk with the, night vision camera and the whole first person thing. I feel like Outlast, I'm not sure if Outlast was the first game to kind of use that style of play in like a horror type game, but I just know it was the one that made it popular. I feel like with games like Amnesia, games like Alien Isolation, the list goes on. I feel like a lot of games kind of was influenced by that Outlast formula and tried to, kind of use it themselves and put their own little twist on it. If you really think about it, I feel like Outlast really influenced a lot of these, horror games that came out this past decade, man. So that's why I'm putting Outlast 1, Outlast 1 and the Whistleblower DLC. Telltale's Walking Dead. Season 1. See, when I say Telltale's Walking Dead, know that I am always speaking of the very first season. Season 2 was not that bad, just wasn't as good as 1. 3 was absolute trash, and I didn't even play 4 because at that point 3 was so bad that I completely lost interest. Prior to really that game, and now I know Heavy Rain, I think Heavy Rain came out before then. I know how, again, we've had other point and click games before that, but nothing quite like Telltale's Walking Dead when that junk first came out. I never thought I could personally enjoy really a game like that, because when I play games, I actually like, having good gameplay. Like I want to feel like I'm in control, with all the stuff that's going on and stuff like that. And when you kind of have like an interactive point and click game, it's like, why am I playing this when there's like games to where you can be doing like 1,000 hit combos and stuff like that? I always tell people, even if you don't like Telltale games, even if you don't like that style of games, the whole interactive based junk, if you're not even a fan of The Walking Dead, whatever, one thing you have to play is Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. That junk was so good story-wise. It literally started a trend of remember that point in time where Telltale was like dropping like a new series? Like it seemed like every month, like it's like Telltale was doing a friggin' Batman series. Then they did Wolf Among Us. They did Tales of the Borderlands. Like there was a point in time where Telltale was putting out a new series. It literally seemed like every month, and it was just like, why are they doing this? Because Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1 was so good and so successful. I really feel like it, showed other devs in the game like, oh snap, we can actually make a really good game, that doesn't really rely on gameplay if we just have a really great story and great characters. Telltale's Walking Dead is on this list, okay? Think about it. Batman Arkham City. Now, I was going to put the Arkham series, but Arkham Asylum came out in 2009. So I'm trying to stick to like the rules here from like 2010 to 2020. All those three games were so good, it's kind of hard to rank them. I always say that Batman Arkham Asylum had the best environment. Batman Arkham City had the best gameplay. Batman Arkham Knight had the best graphics. But I feel like the best overall Batman game was Batman Arkham City. That's when it kind of opened up more and you could actually like glide around Gotham with Batman and stuff like that. And then of course with Arkham Knight, they brought in the Batmobile. A little bit too much, but they bought it in. but they bought it in. If you want to look at a game and be like, okay, how do we make a very good superhero game with all of the characters and just, you know, the world that is that hero and the villains that it has, you look at Batman Arkham City. I feel like it had all the like most popular famous Batman characters in it, from freaking Two-Face to of course Joker, whatever. It literally had all the characters. It had the boss fights. Of course, the gameplay is always the best part about those Batman games because it's just fluid and it works. I feel like with what Rocksteady was able to do with Batman Arkham City, more specifically just the Arkham series, but I thought Arkham City was the best one. So without Rocksteady and what they did with that, I don't feel like Insomniac takes on Spider-Man. I really don't. Like, again, I feel like Rocksteady gave the blueprint of how you make a really good superhero game. Before then, what were like superhero games that was on that level? Like all of the superhero games that was dropping, you know, before the Arkham game started, they were all just looked at as like, you know, it's cool. There was none on the level that Rocksteady took it to. And then when Arkham City came out and took what Arkham Asylum did to the next level and opened up the gameplay, Rocksteady definitely, I feel like, deserves a spot on this list. So that's why I'm putting Batman Arkham City, the best Batman game in my opinion, on my list. Okay, remember what I said at the beginning, right? I hate this game. I cannot stand they fans, because these suckers, you can be having a conversation about something and these suckers will come out of will come out of thin air like, but did you play The Witcher 3 though? The Witcher 3, man, hey, I don't even like the game. I've tried to get into The Witcher. I've put down and picked up The Witcher 3, I think 5 or 6 times. Every time I picked up the game, like, I just could not stick with it because it's kind of one of those games like Persona. I kind of look at it like Persona. Like, you have to go in knowing you have to dedicate a lot of time to this game, and if you're not willing to do that, it's kind of hard to stick to it. So that's kind of how I look at The Witcher 3. But The Witcher 3, this game came out in 2015. I never even heard of CD Projekt Red until The Witcher 3, and now somehow, some way, they are looked at as like one of the best, you know, current game devs in the game, really based off of one game and an expansion. The Witcher 3 came out and it was so good in a lot of people's eyes, and the Blood and Wine DLC was great as well from what I hear, and, you know, was like looked at as like, oh my god, if you want to do a DLC, you do it the way CD Projekt Red did the Blood and Wine DLC. This junk is so amazing. The cosplays that I've seen of The Witcher, the junk just got its own Netflix show. A game that came out in 2015 is still being talked about today. And I feel like with that one game alone, not The Witcher 2, not the very first Witcher, with The Witcher 3, that one game alone, I feel like in turn has people hyped for Cyberpunk 2077 just based off of the work that they did with The Witcher 3. I never even heard of CD Projekt Red prior to The Witcher 3. So Even though I'm not really a fan of the game, I've tried to play and pick up the game and I drop it each time. You cannot deny how many times have you heard The Witcher 3 since 2015. Again, you cannot have a conversation about any great game without these suckers being like, well, I don't know if you played The Witcher 3. And I'd be like, sucker, shut your mouth. Like, in terms of fan base, in like games, I feel like the Witcher 3 fan base is one of the most annoying. But yeah, that's why I'm putting The Witcher 3 on this list. Now, this might come as a shocker to some people. NBA 2K11. And no, it's not because I'm black, you racist bastard. It's not that reason. It's not that reason at all. Most people recognize NBA 2K11 as the best overall NBA 2K game. I feel like before NBA 2K11, EA was still doing NBA Live. You know, it was always, you know, live versus 2K. But then it kind of started to happen, I say, around 2K9. But then when 2K really started to hit its stride with 2K10 and then 11 and stuff, when 2K11 came out, it was clear. Like, EA, stop making basketball games. You suck as his ass. This is going back before 2K was doing all this crap with, you know, with my neighborhood and park mode and all the VC currency and stuff they got now. This was really like before all that like really started to become like what seems like now is their main focus. This was when 2K was really putting their all into making the best basketball game that was on the market. They literally made EA just quit making basketball games. Like, I think they still tried to put out live for like 2 or 3 years afterwards. No, because it was with NBA Elite 11. Yeah, was it Elite 11? I just know EA put out, no, they put out the demo of NBA Elite. I don't know if that was year 2011 or afterwards, but Elite was so bad that they just like quit making. Them suckers dad just quit making basketball games because it was clear as day from that point forward. 2K was in charge of making basketball games. 2K Sports, I feel like, is not where they are today without NBA 2K11. Last of Us. Last of Us. The Last of Us, dog. Come on now. Come on. I kind of put The Last of Us in the same kind of category as The Witcher 3 in terms of, and Last of Us came out 2 years prior before The Witcher 3 came out. I think Last of Us came out in 2013 and The Witcher 3 came out in 2015. How is a game that came out damn near 7 years ago still used in debates? It's still like used as like the measuring stick for games, like, you know, and there's always people out there that still try to slander Last of Us daily. Why are they even putting energy and time into slandering a game that came out in 2013? How is a game that came out in 2013 still being slandered today? Think about it. Like, even if you don't, I don't like The Witcher 3. Y'all know that. How is The Witcher 3 still being talked about today? How is The Last of Us, a game that came out in 2013, last generation, how is this game still being talked about today? The game must be that good. The game is talked about already as one of the best games of all time. Last of Us was one of, I have to say, top 3 PS3 exclusives. And it literally came out in the last year that the PS3, you know, was still going on. What is in a lot of people's top 2 games next year? Like, bro, let's be real. Even if you're not a fan of Last of Us, because I see people slander this game all the time, and I'm like, why are you still talking about a game that came out in 2013? I don't know. It must be relevant. It has to be. Junk came out in 2013, still being talked about today. Last of Us 2 is going to end off the last year for PS4, just how the first Last of Us ended off the last year for PS3. Like it's all come full full circle, bro. It's all come full circle. So that's why I'm putting The Last of Us, bro, on my list. Okay, Minecraft. Again, remember what I said at the start. Everyone knows what Minecraft is. You've at least seen someone play it. You've seen a walkthrough. You've seen a thumbnail, you know, with someone with like a shocked face. The junk has merch. It has toys. I think I freaking think I've seen I think I've seen Minecraft books. I feel like it's not necessarily right there with Mario, but it's close. I feel like Minecraft is like really starting to become like one of that thing to where it's like everyone at least has heard of Minecraft at some point. You know, it's a huge franchise. So last but not least, this was hard to say because I was trying to figure out like where did this all really start with, you know, with the battle royale games. I was gonna go with DayZ at first, but then I was hearing that Arma 2, I think, or something like that, like started the game. I was just like, man, what really started battle royale? So I'm going with PUBG. Now PUBG of course did not start the whole battle royale genre, but I feel like PUBG really took it to like the next level. So yeah, when PUBG was the hottest thing going, and that was like, it looked like that was the go-to game like in what year was that, like 2017, something like that. And then like you was hearing how like this pretty much unknown dev was making all of this money off of a game that was really still in beta phase, and it was making all of this money. This was before all of the Fortnite stuff happened. I remember it was H1Z1. It kind of, H1Z1 did kind of, you know, start to, you know, turn heads a little bit. Like, what's that? What kind of game is that? But then when PUBG came out, it was like, okay, this is now the game that it seems like it seems like that you have to play, you know. So PUBG took it to that next level. And then since then, of course, we had the Apex Legends, the Paladins. I mean, how many Battle Royale games have we had, you know, that have followed PUBG? And then Fortnite, hey, they made a whole bunch of money from a game that was in like the phase of still being worked on for a while. Like they was making millions off of PUBG, and the game wasn't even finished. And I remember people was like critiquing them for that. Like, man, this junk ain't even finished and they making millions. So PUBG, that's what I'm saying. PUBG. It didn't start the battle royale genre, but I definitely feel like it put that genre on the map and made like a lot of people pay attention to, hey, people really like this game mode, maybe we could try to do something with it. So that's my top 10 games that I feel like shaped this past decade of gaming. Let me know what you guys think of my list. Do you think I'm tripping on some games, or do you agree with me? What is y'all top 10 games that you feel shaped this past decade of gaming? Kind of like a mixture. The best games you played this decade, and like some of the most influential games that you feel like kind of shaped the landscape of how gaming was this past year. Rah. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. Here's to another great decade in gaming. I just know it's gonna be real good next year. I know this next decade is gonna start off real well next year. I do know that. So we're gonna definitely get off to a good start. But hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, I'll catch y'all brothers and sisters at my next one. All right.